The one key secret to blowing up your bench. Now, this is something that I've came up with myself over many 5, 6, 7 years of training. I would assume it's been now, and this is something that I've came up with and generated myself. Hopefully, you guys can benefit from this. And my name is BlakeWendt1. Some credentials about me is I currently have 5 world records on OpenPowerlifting.com, and I also have 3 national titles from USAPL, high school nationals, open nationals by age class. Now that the credentials about me are out of the way, I've achieved, well, one more. I've achieved a 500 natural pound bench, and I'm looking to pause it raw very soon, or completely raw, no elbow reps very soon. But what is this one key tip that is going to help you blow up this bench, right? And this is something that I've learned over my many years of training in this whole process, right? And I think this key tip is building the pyramid. And so this is something similar to maybe a West Side method without a West Side method. If you don't know West Side Barbell, their idea is when your body has the answer, we change the question. Now that has always sat in my mind for many years. I'm just like, that's very interesting, you know? Do you really want to change the question though? If it's going to be the same question on the meet day? So I've always thought about that, and I've came up with my own somewhat theory on this. The one thing that you can use to blow up your bench, to blow up your whatever, your squat, bench, or deadlift. I think it's the same thing across lifting. But what I've came to after many years, I'm about to explain. So you start doing something on bench press. Let's say you're doing a 5x5. You do 2 weeks of doing a 5x5. You do 4 5x5s total, and you ramp that weight. And eventually, you're like, all right, I've done 4 of these workouts. Now I'm going to test my max to see if it worked. And you go ahead after that 5x5, those 4 weeks of 5x5, or the 4 days of 5x5, you test your bench, and you're like, I just gained 10 pounds off of this. Like, shoot, dude, like that worked. My belief is that you then turn that over and you hit that again. You hit that 5x5 again. You do another 4 workouts with that 5x5. And you go ahead and test the results, and you're like, I only gained 5 pounds this time, but it still worked. So you turn around and you do it again. Because if it's working, why change it? You know, and that's a very real thought I've always had with powerlifting. People have always thought like, man, you train like an idiot, dude. Like what you're doing is just not working out. But it was working, so why would I change it? So I would say on that 3rd week, you bring it back and you go for 4 again. You test the results. You gain another 5 pounds. You go back, you do it for 4 more days again. And then you test it and then it doesn't work. And now this is where like more of my theory really comes into play. So you test your max and your max is not there. You don't hit this PR for one time. Now, my theory really is, do you need to just change it once it doesn't work? My idea would be you give it one more go. You give it another 2 weeks. Now, this is a lot of 5x5, right? In theory, this shouldn't work. But you may have found a glitch to your body. You may have found a way to just keep going your bench, go up and up and up. So you try it again, and this time, after these 4 more workouts, it still doesn't work. It may work. If it does work, you just keep repeating the process. But until you run into 2 fails, 2 continuous fails, I don't believe that you stop. Stop doing what you're doing. But once you get to this point where it doesn't work anymore, you go back and you look at what did I do on these first weeks that I didn't do on these last weeks. And you sit down and you watch every single video from the gym. You look at every video that you made. You look at your energy levels. You say, wow, like when I was doing the 5x5 on my 2nd week doing it, or my 3rd, 4th week doing it, I noticed that I was actually eating a lot more and I was working a lot less. So, but I was working a lot more here and I was eating a lot less, and none of the variables were the same. So were the variables making me weaker, or was it the program that wasn't working anymore? Right? And so for a lot of times when I go back and I look at something that's failed for me twice, a lot of times it's me that has failed me. It's not what I've been trying to do, it's me that has failed me. So then if you go back, try the same thing 3 times. Now this is your last try, because you went back and you said, okay, it was my lifestyle that was off. It wasn't the training, it was nothing else. It was me not eating enough, sleeping enough, working too much, whatever. You go and you maximize all your variables, you make everything perfect. You go through those 4 workouts and then you test again. Now, either you succeed and you continue going with it, or you fail. And now this is your third failure, and I believe you do not go back on this. Now, instead of that, you find something new, and you can continue this process with everything new that you do. And I do believe that failure is a big part of success. People that are lifters and they're scared to fail, I believe that's just mind blowing. If you never want to fail a rep, what are you gonna do when you're on the competition stage and you're just like, wow, I feel like I got like 20 more pounds. I might be able to win this, but I've never failed a rep before. I don't know how to fail. What if you miss a rep terribly and on a bench and you haven't missed a bench rep in months? What are you, or not even months, just like years, or you've never missed a bench rep before? Is it just gonna fall in your chest? You know what I'm saying? How are you gonna react to that? How's that gonna change the rest of your day? So I think it's really important that you do lose occasionally. Like, losing is part of winning. It's simple. So taking a loss is not the end of the world. You just lose and you learn. You lose, you go back and you look at every single variable and you learn from it. And that's just more to like my one key tip, really. You look back at a loss and you realize, did I completely lose or did I learn? And 99% of the time, it's no, I learned. I learned from every single loss I've ever taken. I missed this bench press this day because I didn't give myself enough time off. Next time I'll give myself more time off. You learned. That's simple. That's learn. You might have lost that instant moment, but you still built yourself up for long-term success. And so that kind of just like goes with my theory. Like I said, do something until it doesn't work anymore. If it's still working, why change it? If you've done the same thing for the past 5 months, but for some reason you just keep getting stronger, why change it? Do it until it doesn't work. If I could just have one workout that I could just do for the rest of my life and I know I just keep getting stronger, I would hammer it. I'd be the best at that workout. I'd never quit. But unfortunately, that's not the case with all lifters. But I find so many times that when people think that their body is adapting, but they don't have any proof that their body is adapting, they change things and they set themselves back. So don't change things until you really have proof. And I find that on form as well. So many people want to just change a form because they think it looks bad, or they think they're weaker this way, or they think this and that, but they've never actually gotten up to that heavy weight to test it. They've never actually gotten that far to test it. They just want to keep on changing. I really find time has helped me lift and just figure things out. You have to trust the time. You don't go into a deadlift session and say, I'm going to change my feet and my hand positioning today. You just don't do that. You come in and say, okay, maybe I'm going to move my feet a quarter inch out, but that's it. You don't move your hand position. You work on one thing a day. You don't jump the process. You don't get rich quick. You don't get strong quick. You trust the process, and if it's not broken, don't fix it. Now, that's just my 2 cents on my one thing to blow up your bench press, blow up your squat, blow up your deadlift, whatever. The one key secret to powerlifting in general, I believe it would be, is if it doesn't work, why fix it? And if something is broken, you're not just going to flip a switch and it's going to work. You're probably going to have to flip a lot of switches, but make sure that you flip the switch all the way and you didn't just, you weren't so worried about the switches above it that this switch might have been the actual fix, and you flipped it, but you accidentally flipped it halfway because you were so worried about this switch, and now you've worked your way up to all the switches, and you don't know which one actually worked because none of them worked. Make sure that you flipped every single switch before you turn it back off. You see what I'm saying? So that's it for me today. That's just like my idea of lifting. That's my way of blowing things up. If it works, why change it? Simple. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next, guys. And BlakeWendt1 signing out. Peace.